How are you?
I'm good, thanks, Simon. Nice to finally meet you.
Do you know what I mean? It's always mad when you. We've known each other like for going on a year.
Over a year.
Over a year. And the first time meeting you, I'm taller than you expected.
Much taller than I
You're
expected.
smaller than I expected.
Really?
Everyone says I'm taller.
Oh, I thought you were about 5'8".
Everyone says that.
How tall are you?
Which is crazy. And then everyone says Kofi's smaller than they thought, and I was just like,
really? Oh.
no, I'm like 6'1" on a good day.
Okay, 6'1" on a good day.
Yeah, 6'1" on a good day.
Okay.
So yeah, for everybody watching or listening, introduce yourself and tell us where you're at.
So I'm Kim. I am based in Cambridge. I have 3 essay deals, 3 rent to essays, and I've been doing this for full time just over a year.
Wow, yeah, which has gone really, really quick.
Really quick. I sort
Like
of
too
can't-
quickly.
It's really quick.
And Cambridge, not an easy area.
It's really not. It's a small city, but it packs a punch. There's a lot of big business there. The university, obviously, AstraZeneca, globally recognised company, and there is a lot of demand in the rental market. So it makes it hard to get the deals actually to secure the rent to rents.
Sure, but when you do get them, they can be good. So I'm thinking back to when we met now, so I know your story well. But so, what was life before being full-time in property then?
So for 20 years I've been a television producer. I've worked on lots of big factual series, such as The Apprentice, MasterChef, First Dates, Gogglebox. So really big brands that everybody knows. And my job in the last 7 years has been running those series. So I've been in charge of £12 million projects that need to produce millions of viewers.
Wow.
And so I run big teams and looked after all the editorial and the creative, the legal, the compliance, the edits, the shoots, everything was,
Have
went
you met
across
Sir
my
Alan
desk.
then?
Yeah.
Come on, legend.
Yeah.
What's he like?
He was really nice with me.
Hashtag NDA. Yeah, all that.
No, he really was. I worked on the very first series of The Apprentice.
Sick.
And so Tim Campbell, who is now one of his sidekicks, he was the winner on my series. So I've known Tim for 20 years. He's really lovely.
Is he the guy that's with him now?
Yeah.
He's sick.
Tim Campbell OBE now.
Oh, so he came through Apprentice?
He won the first series.
And now he's like...
Now he's the sidekick.
Wow, I
and
didn't
he's
know
done
that.
loads in property, actually.
Wow, I did not know that. I did not know that.
Yeah.
If you can hear background noise, it's because we're live at the Rent to Rent retreat and people keep coming in and out, but we're just going to keep it cool. So before you was doing TV, which sounds glamorous, why did you feel like you needed this transition?
TV is really glamorous and it's really fun. It's a really varied job and you get to go all over the country, all over the world. You get to work with all different types of people. I've filmed with the Prime Minister, I've filmed with Dukes and Duchesses, I've filmed with Binman and everybody in between.
Wow.
It's brilliant, it's really exciting, and I've felt very lucky to have had my career. But as you grow up and you have husbands and children, it doesn't necessarily work with a work-life balance. And for my last project, I was pretty much away from home for 6 solid months.
Wow.
And then when I was back home, I was editing from my home office, overseeing the edit of 6 episodes. And so I was doing a 15-hour day in my home office. So even then I wasn't there, even though I was there. So I just got to breaking point, as you'll remember, when I cried on my first Zoom with you.
Which was mad.
I know, right? I was really quite broken.
Yeah, it was mad. And I remember at the time you was in 2 minds because you'd, I hope you don't mind me saying, but you'd refinance to generate some capital, and I think you was in the legals of this purchase of a potential SA, right?
I think so. Yes, I think I was. I had this sale agreed on this gorgeous cottage in Holt, which is a beautiful town in Norfolk. But I was at that point where I really needed to think about what my next step was. I don't think I was physically possible to run another series in TV at that point. And so the equity that we'd released from our residential home needed then to cover my salary, because I'm freelance, I'm the breadwinner of my family, and I just needed to box a bit clever. So I was in that sort of crossroads really when we had that first Zoom, and I cried on you.
Yeah, you did. And it was mad because I felt like, obviously my background was music, so we had that synergy, but in that moment, which is quite weird, crying to a stranger, but I did feel you're paying, and it was deep actually, because you was exhausted,
Yeah.
really, and seeing you today, obviously it's not all roses, and there's still hard work to do, but you do seem like a completely different person, and I'm very proud of that growth. So we did the figures on this cottage,
Yeah.
and basically realised you was pretty much going to use the majority of your money.
90% of it.
So you'd be back down to zero essentially,
Yeah.
and the likelihood of that generating the cash flow that you would need to not do another TV was slim to none.
Oh yeah, I mean, if I'd have bought that house, while I'm sure it would have been great, it would have given me the same cash flow as my smallest cash flow in Rent to SA.
Yeah.
And I think it was when you said to me, I can't remember the numbers exactly, but you said it's like the return on that investment was so small for the 125k that I would have put in.
Yeah.
Whereas my first SA cost me 5,000 or 6,000 to set up,
Yeah.
and I'm getting the same cash flow.
Yeah, and the thing I love about your situation in Cambridge, property ain't cheap. So you've done these. How many deals did you say?
So I've got 3 live deals. I have secured 4, but I've closed one down.
Like it. That's what you got to do.
Yeah.
Out with the old, in with the new.
Yeah, do you know what? I think the biggest thing for me in property is that when I was in TV, if something went wrong, I would really beat myself up, and I'd really sort of punish myself internally. When I came into property, I thought 2 things. A, I have to learn a whole new industry now. You've really got to get to know it all. I can't just go in and think that I know it in 2 minutes. But also I decided to give myself permission to fail and make mistakes. And look, no one wants to set out making mistakes, but I knew that I wasn't going to not make mistakes, because that's not possible. So, I went into the second deal with the best intentions. I didn't know if it would work. It didn't work, and that's okay. The only thing I'm annoyed about is the money. But I don't feel emotional about saying goodbye to that house. Whatever, move on.
I was literally having a conversation with Paul Sargent just then, and I was explaining to him that scale is about removing things. And actually, when you remove things out of your life, you create space for new opportunities. And like every year I do this model, I absolutely love it. And it's a cross. And it's got loads of money sort of on this axis at the top, and not a lot of money here. And then from right to left, it's got really, really easy and really, really hard. And so you've got these 4 quarters. And I look at everything in my life and I look at what the return is. And if I find myself in the really hard and not much money, I get rid of it. And I exchange that for loads of money and really easy, or sometimes not that much money, but easy, because you don't want a hard life. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's been times, and at the beginning, I'm happy to do the really hard for loads of money, but I don't want to do the really hard for no money.
Yes.
Right?
And there's only so many really hard you can do, even for big money, right?
Of course there
So
is,
it's about a
leverage-wise,
balance.
yeah. So you've got that's right. So these properties ain't cheap in Cambridge.
They're not.
So what's the value of your controlled portfolio?
So on the 3 properties, it's around about £3 million that I'm controlling.
Which is mental.
Yeah, it's huge, actually.
So for you to buy those properties, you probably need 750 grand plus stamp, like more. You'd need £1 million basically.
Yeah, but probably close to £1 million, yeah, all in, yeah.
Which is not going to happen.
Not right now.
Not yet. Okay, brilliant. So just talk us through the journey to your first deal. Like, was that easy? Was it hard?
I think what I found surprisingly hard, actually, when I first started, was you say there's an average of 10 viewings for your first deal, which you're actually dead on, right? That is correct. But I had all my time to give to property, so I was like, well, Simon, I'll get in 10 viewings this week, it'll be fine. And then actually it was quite hard to get viewings, and that was a surprise to me. And I think that's because a lot of estate agents say no to company lets straight off. There is huge demand for rental property in Cambridge. If you're going to go for those smaller 2-beds, I mean, they've gone before they've even hit Rightmove. It's bonkers, right? So it was actually a lot harder to get viewings with estate agents than I thought it would be. I did get some, and they didn't, the first few didn't work out with estate agents for whatever reason. The, landlord decided to go in a different direction, whatever, you win some, you lose some. But it was through Open Rent and direct to vendor that I got my first deal. And it felt like forever, but actually it was 3 weeks.
Actually,
Right? Yeah, it was 3 weeks.
I remember you calling me like, listen, it's not working, it's this, that, and the other.
What am I doing wrong, Simon?
And I think you had a bit of a wobble because you decided to go for this, and then you start questioning whether it's going to work, and you think, bloody hell, and this, that, and the other, and you've committed to not doing more TV, and then the clock's ticking, and then before you, all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
But so this is technically going to be your first full summer.
With 3 properties.
With 3 properties.
Yeah.
How are you feeling?
I'm feeling quite positive about it. The last property, the most recent one I'm just launching, what I've agreed with the landlord that it'll be month-long stays. So I've got that on with 2 bookings now.
Beautiful.
I've got April and May booked with this family that are coming over. He's a visiting law lecturer for the Cambridge University. And then from June to the end of December, I've got a consultant who's coming over from Singapore, British chap who's coming over from Singapore to Addenbrooke's. It's a world-class hospital.
Perfect.
So they are secure, and I just have to go in to do the routine cleans. So they will be easy to manage. The second property is I'm maximising the summer by having shorter bookings on that one.
Nice.
So there is a cap. When you do longer bookings, there's a cap. There's only so much someone will pay.
Sure.
So you're earning a little bit less, but it's less work. Whereas I'm maximising income on the other one but I've got it will be more work for that summer. But then I'm looking to get longer bookings for September.
Nice.
So
like it. So cash flow wise, if you have a big month this summer, what do you reckon that would look like?
If the big house that's on short bookings, I'd like to be turning over on that house 6,000 to 8,000.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And then the cash flow on that would be 3 to 4 for the peak of summer. Yeah.
Which is just mental.
Yeah, but average across the year, across the 3 properties, I'd be looking at 4,000 a month.
Sweet. So pretty much replaced a 50 grand income, or well on the way to doing that. 4 grand times 12, roughly. What's next for you?
I'm looking to diversify in what I'm doing, and so I'm still staying in SA, but looking to secure SA management.
Nice.
That's what I'm looking to do next.
Like it. And for anybody watching or listening, if you were just going to give them one piece of advice, what would you say to them if they're at the beginning of their journey?
I think that when I started, I didn't really know anything, even though you're right, because you learn the theory, and yours is very thorough, but you need to learn the market. So the first house that I've got, the first deal that I've got is very different to the latter 2. And so I've really learned the last year the Cambridge market. And, for me, the middle market is saturated. And so it's difficult that, your nightly rates go down because there's so much competition. That's why, as I've gone through this, I've learned that the higher end, the bigger properties, the period properties, the one that are in the centre of town, that's where the money is. So so I suppose my lesson is your plan for how your business might go will develop as you learn hands-on what your market is.
Beautiful. Thanks very much, and congratulations. And
Thank you.
next step, like what? 100, 200 grand a year?
Well, that be nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah, let's do it.
And thank you for all your support.
Bless
It's been
you.
amazing.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.